I am Dr. Teresa Cullen from the University of Oklahoma. My email is tacullen @ou.edu, and my Twitter handle is Dr. Terry OU. If you want to get in contact with me, I'm here today with Leslie Parr and also one of her colleagues, Stephanie, who's going to be rejoining us. We just lost her as we hit broadcast. She's going to be joining us. Oh, I know why. She probably didn't agree to the terms and conditions. And so probably said, oh, you're going live. You're out of here. So hopefully she'll come back in and join. But Leslie Parr is a student in our 21st Century Master's degree in our first cohort, and we're recruiting new students for the cohort starting in January. And so I want to just remind everyone that you can access our website at bit.ly/21st Century Teaching. And that will tell you about application and all that kind of information. But what I think is most important for you is to hear from current students. And then I know Stephanie has some questions. And so this will be a great opportunity for you to hear from a potential student, maybe some of the questions that they have as well. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch it over to Leslie. And I'm going to let her start by telling us who she is and what she does.
Hello, I am Leslie Parr, and I teach in Tulsa Public Schools. I spent the last 3 years teaching 6th grade, and this year I have moved to 3rd grade and also changed schools. And right now my principal is referenced as an innovative principal. So that has been a wonderful change. Do you want me to just go on to the next?
Yeah, go ahead and tell a little bit about what you teach and maybe why you wanted to do a master's degree.
Okay, so my thought in getting a master's was to definitely continue learning. Like, that was my #1 goal. I did not really feel the pull to go into administration. So when I heard of this new degree, I was very excited because it was a direction I wanted to go into. For myself, learning how to better prepare our students for this changing world, but also to help other teachers become aware of the things that are changing and how we need to best teach our students for the 21st century.
No, either way. Okay, so that's great. And so far, has it been living up to what you were hoping to learn?
Oh, definitely. I mean, this degree has made me aware of the 21st century skills and how to best implement them in my classroom so that I am preparing our students. Technology is only the tool, and I'm learning how to use it with intentional purpose. And so that is making a difference for me, instead of just having technology and giving it out to my students and saying, here, this is, the new thing to do. I'm actually learning how to teach my students how to collaborate and how to critically look at problems and find creative solutions. And so they're also learning how to communicate using various forms of media, whether it's a Google Doc or creating a Prezi or even creating iMovies. So it's definitely changing the way that I look at teaching.
Okay. And so could you tell me, is there anything that you've been able to use that you did as a student that you were able to use in your class?
Definitely going back into like creating Prezis instead of doing PowerPoint presentations now. We are doing different things where they can present, but it's not just a PowerPoint or put an image in and talk about it or something like that. They can create movies and they can incorporate things that they've drawn and things like that inside what they're presenting. So it's definitely changing how my students communicate with each other.
That's great. So sorry, we had a little like group of very loud people walk by, and so I'm sorry about that. Anyway, so one of the other questions, and I'll be honest that I gave you a couple questions ahead of time so you wouldn't feel surprised by the questions. One of the questions I have is, what's it like being in a cohort? Because this is a cohorted master's degree. I'll just give the explanation of what that is. which means I kind of refer to it as a roller coaster cohort, whereas when you start in January, you stay in all the same classes with everyone else. You take 6 or 7 hours a semester, and the reason for that is that then you can apply for financial aid because you have to be, as a graduate student, a minimum of 6 hours. And if for some reason you decide to take a break, what you'll do is you'll wait until the roller coaster comes back around and you can get back on the ride. So if you decide in fall, like you need to take a break, then you'll wait till the next cohort comes around in fall. But so the classes are always the same with all the students. And I just wondered, what's that experience like for you?
Well, it has been wonderful. I know through the months, the couple of semesters that we've been together, I mean, we have really developed a tight bond, and we have really learned to work together with each other. Definitely at the beginning, you know, I was kind of hesitant with all of the discussions and things like that, and just learning how to communicate with each other, which is a 21st century skill that we've all learned. But now we are such a supportive group, and we encourage each other, and it's really nice to have people going through the same things, and we can present problems to one another that we are living in our classrooms and come up with solutions together. So I am really enjoying the cohort part of the program. It has made the educational experience much better. I can't think of a better word, but definitely togetherness.
So is it weird because you're the only person from Tulsa Public Schools, and then there was somebody that was in Oklahoma City Public Schools and now moved schools, and we've got some people in some rural areas. We've got Medill represented. We have somebody from Muskogee.
Are they from? Hey, can I ask a question? Sorry. Yeah. Are they from a certain? Are like a lot of them from a certain place, or is it just kind of a mixture of a bunch of different people from different places?
This group is a mixture from a bunch of different places. There's not really any two people from the same place. I'll have to be honest with you that in kind of when we were envisioning this, that was maybe one of my hopes, because we've had some people who say they want that, or maybe there's 2 or 3 people from the same place that would take classes together just to support each other in the physical sense. But we didn't have that, and I think I'll let Leslie talk about that. Has that been a real barrier to you?
No, I don't think so. And I think it kind of enriches the experiences that we're able to talk about, because everyone is coming from a different background in a different place. So in a way, it still kind of bonds us together, because we're able to see kind of the differences and yet similarities of what we are dealing with in our classrooms.
So that's a great question. Thank you. So the questions that I had kind of asked, you kind of sped through the questions I fed into you a little bit there.
A little bit.
That's okay. I guess, what else would you like to share? Like, people thinking about doing this and being in the second cohort, like what might you want to tell them or want them to think about? What would be some things or pieces of advice? Or Stephanie's a coworker. What things have you said to her to think about if she's thinking about doing this?
Well, I really think this program allows you to kind of examine your teaching practices and kind of see where you can implement things. It's not like you're coming in and having a curriculum that you have to teach or standards that you have to do, but it's a kind of a different way to kind of look at kind of the overall picture of what we are doing in the classroom. And so it's not so much like a critical eye on myself, but maybe a critical eye on the practice of teaching and how we assess students and how we look at learning, how we collect the data. You know, these are all the things that we are kind of instructed to do as teachers, but I think through this program, it kind of changes the focus or kind of expounds the reasons of why we're having to do all that. And it kind of gives, like I was saying earlier, an intentional purpose to that. So I can see how, okay, it is very important that my students communicate with one another, whether it be through their voice, whether it be through written discussion, whether it be through a video. That is important for our new changing world in the 21st century. And so how they collaborate with one another, how they critically look at a problem. These are important skills, and sometimes I think in our fast-paced teaching methods and strategies, we may not focus on that. So in this program, I've kind of been able to step back a little and see where I can insert those skills. So it's not changing what I'm teaching, it's just kind of enhancing.
Well, I think you were a pretty good teacher to start, Leslie, you know.
Oh, thank you.
How many years of experience do you have?
This is my 9th year.
So, like, you have 9 years. There's somebody, I think Lori's probably, what, like 15 years or so?
Yeah. Yes.
And then we have somebody who's in their, now they've just started their 2nd year. We have someone who just started their 3rd year. We have a couple people in their 2nd and 3rd year. It's a very interesting mix of people and experiences and locations, which kind of makes it fun, I think.
Right, definitely.
So, Stephanie, I'm going to switch it over. Well, Leslie, is there anything else that you'd like to say before I switch it over to Stephanie for her questions?
I think I've kind of covered it all.
Okay. Stephanie, what kind of questions do you have?
I don't know. I just, I know Leslie has been talking to me about it, and like one of the things that I really find interesting is the cohort aspect of it, because I do want to get my master's and I do want to go back to school, especially because my bachelor's is not in education. And when I was telling her, I have to get my master's, she was like, you should do this, because it intrigues me to be in like a cohort and not a traditional, like, well, you go to class and you do this and you do that. To me, that just speaks to me on a much better level than actual, like, going to grad school. So I like that part of it. I find that interesting.
So, one of the things as a professor that's really interesting, we just had a meeting this week where we met as professors talking about the classes, and we do that once a month, where we kind of compare notes and see how people are doing and what feedback we've gotten from students. And there's some professors who are still developing their courses so they can learn from us. Like, actually, sitting here with me but not participating is Dr. Bradshaw, and she's actually developing her course. I'll let her say hello. Hi. There you go. And so she's still developing her course, and so she's getting to know you guys. Now, through the face-to-face weekend, you got to meet Dr. Bradshaw. But then also, one of the things that, as we're talking to people that we're finding out is that the cohort has some benefits that are great about a cohort. For example, a student ended up in the class accidentally that wasn't part of the cohort, and they're like, what's going on? Like, they sent me this email. Everybody knows each other. They're already working. And normally when you start an online class, you have to give yourself a week or two to let people figure out how to do stuff. And this summer, when we started the 2nd part of summer, because the way it's set up right now is that you go in May, then you get the month of June off, and then you start back in July. And the thing is that's crazy about it is, like, they already were starting. Like, I didn't even know what was going on. They all knew each other. They were all talking. All had this communication. They were relating stuff from other classes, and I didn't know what was happening. And that, to me, was a wonderful sign about the cohort, because you guys are like, let's get to business. We're ready to do the next thing. And I also find that when I talk to faculty who are new teaching in the program, like, I've taught a couple classes, what I hear is that the students are helpful to the faculty. This is a learning community. The students and the faculty are all participants. And so the students are like, hey, this will work better. Try doing it this way. Or I had problems where I couldn't see people's discussion posts, and somebody says, hey, if you click here, I figured out you can see them. And I'm like, oh, good. And I just, I'd send an apology saying I can't see this. And they're like, oh, no, it's easy. You got to click here and here and here. And so they've been actually helping me learn. And that's what we want to have our kids doing. When we talk about learning with technologies and learning in a 21st century way, we want our children in our classroom, our pupils, to be empowered to be able to participate as well. And so my hope is that we're modeling best practices so that you're engaged as a learner and also seeing the teacher engaged as a learner with you.
For sure. I like that.
So other questions, Stephanie?
I know you were saying earlier about the their people weren't from the same places, and you kind of like that because you get to sort of network and stuff. Mm-hmm. I know for me, I'm one-to-one in my classroom with first graders, and that in of itself is kind of hard sometimes to find other people that are doing it as low as first grade, because there's not a lot of us right now. So that would be my question is, like, what are kind of the ages and stuff that the teachers are, like, teaching? Like, is it, PARS, like, elementary? Are there a lot of other elementary? Is it high school? Is it middle school? Like, what are kind of the ranges that the people teach?
I have to be honest with you. It is a mix. I mean, there is some other elementary. There's some upper elementary. There's some, wasn't somebody teaching kindergarten? I'm blanking here. Was that what Kim was? No.
I think second grade is the lowest I know of, yeah.
So, the other thing is, too, is in the whole idea of isolationism, though, too. I would say it's a mix, and I can't, it's kind of like when, I don't know if you've ever thrown a party where you serve chips and a certain kind of drink, and then you try to throw the same party again the next year, and you can invite the same people and serve the same chips and serve the same drink, but it's a completely different party. I don't know what cohort 2 is going to look like. I can tell you right now we've already had 4 or 5 people already apply that are waiting for us to look at applications, and we'll start looking at those November 1st, and we'll accept applications through December 1st, but it makes the paperwork a little tricky, so we'd really love people to apply a little earlier. Starting next year, we're going to set a November 1st deadline. And by the way, you don't have to take a GRE for the program. You have to have 3 letters of recommendation, and an essay of why you want to be in the program. Those are all good things. And in your transcripts and all that. And sometimes the transcripts take a little while to get together. So I just give people that warning, because when we get close to Christmas, things start moving kind of slow at a university. So that being said, what I was going to say is I don't know who's going to be there. I don't know who's going to come to the next cohort, and that's kind of exciting too, because each one will have its own kind of flavor and with a different mix of educators, and that I'm excited about. The other thing I was going to say about only being a first grader, so they're only being a first grade teacher, not
a first grader. Oh, those first graders.
So, the thing that immediately came to mind is how personalized this degree can be. A lot of the projects are open-ended, and you're picking things that are appropriate for your school. And, like, for example, if you were in the class right now, the one that we did this summer on social media, what I immediately would have said to you is that my friend Sarah Malchow, who's in Wisconsin, runs the Twitter chat, First Chat. And I would probably try to connect you with that teacher. And so I think that's the other thing that ends up happening, is that you get to personalize your own plans, your own professional development. One of the things that's actually really interesting too is I feel like we're really in pace with what's going on. I talk to administrators all the time and ask them, hey, this is what we're doing, what do you think? And they're like, oh my gosh, I would love it if my teachers would read that or do that. Additionally, I was just having a conversation with someone from the State Department, and they were talking about the new teacher requirements to have a personal professional development plan as part of the TLE. And they haven't released all the guidelines yet. But, Leslie, what did you do this summer?
I wrote a social media plan.
Right, but you also wrote a personalized professional development plan for how you were going to learn more about technology,
yes,
right?
And that too, yes. We
yeah.
separate plans.
So yeah, and so part of what we're wanting to do is to try to pay attention to what's going on. And the other thing with it being online is I'll have to say that the teachers in the class have really surprised me by their way of bringing in resources and tools that they're using. And so sometimes I'm finding that I'm really learning in this community as well. So, other questions? Any other questions? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I know, right?
Questions.
Do you talk about, it's all about everything, right? It's not just like, I'm one-to-one, but other people might be blended, other people, it's about all different kinds of ways.
So, I'll tell you, we have another degree that's more of a face-to-face degree at the University of Oklahoma, which is on integrating technology into teaching, and that was really designed to be like a technology coach, right?
Yes.
And what was funny was that was really not the intention, when we kind of planned this, that we wanted it to be for people to become technology coaches. Like that really wasn't where we were thinking it was going. But several people have kind of that's where they want to go, and that's where they've been spending their efforts and their time, and so that's where their interest is. But I mean, there's other people I think that would develop some leadership skills, some ability to influence policy, or maybe just to be an awesome teacher who has an influence in their district about how things are going. Yeah. And you know, the truth is that I came to the realization is that we can't decide how you're going to use this major. Like, that is for you, because it's your knowledge and your learning. And so really, how you decide to use what you learn is what's the most important. Yeah. And I'm going to screen share real quick just so that you can see. I'm screen sharing. And is everybody seeing my screen share? Yeah. Okay, so this is our website. Again, the address is bit.ly/21st century teaching, all lowercase. And what I wanted to show you is that as we do future online chats, they'll be here. But then also, if you go down here, you can click and you can view our website here at the Janix page, and that will show videos that all the professors have done introducing their class. So if you want to preview the class, this wasn't available to you, Leslie, because it's something that we've been working on. There's a set of frequently asked questions. We haven't set the face-to-face weekend yet, but there is one weekend that's face-to-face, and that's really important because that's a way that we build community. And maybe, Leslie, you can talk about that in just a second. But what I want to show you is down here we have the course outline, and that shows what courses are offered each semester. So some people say, can I dabble? Can I take one course here, one course there? Nope, it's a cohort. So you take, it's all or nothing. So you take the 6 or 7 hours each block, and you go along with the cohort so you have that shared experience. But so if you go to our website again, bit.ly/21st century teaching, you can see all that information. And then there's apply now, and that'll take you to the application system. So if you want to see more about the courses, there's a course in social media, there's a course in assessment. Right now, Leslie's in a course on new literacy and a course in reflection. There'll be a course on community and school relation and critical literacy. These are all courses that are coming up, and we'll know, you know, like, so it's very broad. How you want to use it is really up to you.
I like what you were saying earlier. I was actually, I don't even know if it was Leslie I was talking with this about, probably, because I talked to her about everything. But we were talking about how we do have technology coaches and instructional coaches, but there is no, like, what we're doing coach for that, which goes back to what you were saying about, you know, there's new positions becoming available. I feel like there is, like, so many things being created because of blended learning, personalized learning, one-to-one, all that stuff that no one thought about. You know, you don't necessarily have a technology teacher in your school. Mm-hmm. You don't have a computer lab teacher. Like, we're kind of at the crossroads at our school where we're not really using the computer lab. Everyone has devices in their room. So it's like shifting from this, okay, well, here's the all-knowing, you know, techie person, and my kids go to that and they learn about tech and then they come back to my class. Now I feel like the teachers need to be, you know, like 21st century teachers. We have to, you know, incorporate that into our classrooms. So I feel like there's a really good opportunity to, like, create your own job if you wanted it in your district. Like, we need curriculum developers, but on that techie spectrum of it. And I feel like that's something that I think I'm striving for, because I think it's like kind of a make your own way type of deal.
Well, and I think, you know, that's the thing that I saw in people's professional development plans. I think people had lots of different goals, and they were using, that was when the realization hit me, like, wow, these people have very different goals, and I could see them all being successful. You know, I teach a lot of the classes, or I teach I'm kind of the steady force that's in a lot of the classes, so I'm getting to know people really well. And so I'm like, wow, they could totally do that. That's an interesting goal. You know what I mean? So, like, I think that that's also part of being part of the community. So I think that's very true. And I mean, you know, like I'm saying, you know, the exciting thing is the first group has been real good sports because we had some technical issues, and they've been kind of guinea pigs, you know, trailblazers, if you may.
But I would say the professors have also been very, you know, accommodating and just kind of learn with us and listen to us just the same. So
So, one of the things that I find as a techie, because I'm an Apple Distinguished Educator, I use a lot of technology, but it's not like who I am. It's who I am because I like the technology. That's kind of how I think. But it's not like I'm not all about the technology. It's like, oh, we could use this tool to do this thing that we want to do. And I'm really hoping that I'm modeling those kinds of skills. And that there's been a couple of times that I've used technology in a class where it was kind of an epic fail. And but then we talked about what we learned from that. And it's funny because I think, Leslie, you were participating in that Google Sheet collaborative document, and it didn't work out.
Right.
But did you end up saying that you're going to do something similar in your class but do it different? Or was that someone else?
Right. No, I was kind of talking about that today. And so I was trying it out with my students today. So using the boxes, trying to keep their discussion in a box. So I thought that would kind of keep people from typing over others or deleting others or something like that. And it still wasn't perfect, but it was at least exposure for them, learning how to collaborate with one another. And it's kind of like the same when you have an oral discussion. Someone always talks over someone, or someone talks the most, or something like that. So I think it's just learning how to communicate with others appropriately.
Right, and I also think, and then the other thing is, if you were telling me about that activity, this is the other part where the community comes into play, that I would probably say, well, for what you were trying to do there, I'd probably use something like Padlet or Linowit or Corculus, and those were all tools, so we could brainstorm and say, wow, that's such a great idea. I don't know if you were using the right tool for that, because Google Docs is really meant to be kind of a stream, and maybe something that's designed to be used as individual people posting on Post-it notes would be really great. And I see there's a back channel that you guys have set up. You have your own community that the professors aren't in, which I love. That actually shows me that there's real community going on.
Right.
So.
A lot of support.
Right. Yeah. So, Stephanie, do you have other questions?
I don't know. I can't think of any right now. I'm sorry. Something exciting. Somebody on Twitter followed me the other day. That is their first year doing one-to-one, and it's just so exciting with first grade, mind you. So it's just so exciting to see. She's been asking me questions, so I'm like, I'm in my mindset, right? But like you were saying with your students figuring out in the cohort, that's so how it is in the classroom too. Like they figure out stuff that you didn't even know you needed. Yeah. Procedures for, or you didn't even know that was something that needed to be taught. I mean, we've been using Chromebooks all year, and then I get to April and I realize some of them don't understand what Google Chrome is. When I say click on Google Chrome. So you think of those things, you're like, I never even thought I had to teach you what Google Chrome is. They're like, what do you mean when you say Google Chrome, Miss Peppers? So I just think that's interesting that the same things are happening in a college class in a master's program happens in first grade as well.
That's awesome. All right. Well, hey, just so that I keep it relatively short, we've been on for about a half hour. I will then point out again, if you have questions, I'm Dr. Cullen at University of Oklahoma. My email is tacullen@ou.edu. My Twitter handle is @DrTerryOU. And if you want more information, you can also go to our website, which is bit.ly/21stcenturyteaching. And I'm excited to maybe see your application, Stephanie, but no pressure. And if you want,
for sure. Like Par would ever let me not apply for it.
Oh, yes, she's going.
Good deal.
Yeah, as soon as she saw my door, she was like, I'm taking a picture of this and sending it to my professors. And, yeah, so she's roped me in. Don't worry.
That's fabulous. Okay, well, so get your letters together. You don't have to take the GRE. Click on that. Start applying. Apply early so that all your paperwork gets through so we don't have to mess with transcripts, all right?
Oh, of course. Okay.
As soon as you get in, by the way, once you're officially accepted, then I'll encourage you to apply for scholarships. And every one of our students last year who did apply for scholarships got one. I can't say that's every year, but everyone who applied last year got one. So something for you to think about.
Right.
All right, good deal. All right, thank you very much for being here. And we'll archive this so that you can go back and watch it if you want. Yay.
Yay.
And also, Stephanie, I'm going to send you a link. Well, did you already see Amber's talk last week?
I don't think so, no.
Can you share it with her, Leslie?
Okay.
Because Amber is a non-traditionally certified teacher, and I think she'll really speak to your experience as well.
Yes, that's me. That's for sure. That's me.
Thank you so much, and we'll talk later.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.